Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today on our live AccuLynx interview. My name is Michelle Middleman, and I'm joined today by my colleague, Dylan Murphy. Dylan, say hi.
How's it going, everybody? Morning.
And, oh, sorry. And we're really excited today to have Matthew Jaynes. He's the general manager of KPost, which is the official roofing and waterproofing company of the Dallas Cowboys, with us today. Hi, Matthew. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning. Welcome, everyone.
So before we get started with the interview, I just want to do a little bit of quick housekeeping. We're using GoToWebinar today. Everyone will be muted while we're doing the presentation. However, if you have any questions during the presentation, there is a questions tab in the module. You can feel free to drop those in there. And at the end of the interview, we will do a Q&A. So you'll be able to ask Matthew questions, ask Dylan questions, ask me questions. So moving right along. Oops. All right, sorry about that. So for anyone who's unfamiliar, AccuLynx is the leading all-in-one management system designed for contractors. We were the first system. We started about 12 years ago. We are a CRM, so for those of you that don't know, that means you can track all of your leads, your prospects, and your customers, no matter what stage they are in the buying cycle. We have partners throughout the industry. We partner with ABC, SRS, GAF, Owens Corning, CertainTeed, and many others. And the best things about us is, you know, we're award-winning for both our software and our people, which we are very proud of. So that's just a little bit about us, but really, we know that you're here to hear from Matthew. So Matthew, thank you so much for joining us today. We really do appreciate it. Why don't you start out by telling us a little bit about yourself and about KPost?
Yeah, so I'm the general manager of the residential division for KPost Roofing and Waterproofing here in Dallas, Texas. We're proud partners of the Dallas Cowboys. Our notable big jobs would be like AT&T Stadium, and we recently did the new roof on the Rangers ballpark here, but I run the residential division. So my job is to watch over everything sort of from marketing, sales to operations, and I'm responsible for the profit and loss statement. Yep.
So what we're here today to talk about is how Matthew essentially initiated the KPost residential division. So to start off, Matthew, when KPost decided to open a residential roofing division, how did you approach that?
Yeah, so I was the one that they contacted whenever they became the partners of the Dallas Cowboys. The phone started to ring from people wanting us to look at residential roofs when KPost only did commercial. So as many people know, the commercial roofing business model and the residential roofing business model are completely different things. So I came in whenever they were looking to start the residential division, and me and another guy, we came in there and we went over types of jobs, how the insurance works, what kind of profit margins are in the business, and generally the job cycles. And at that point, it was something that the owners of KPost wanted to invest in and go forward in. So then that's when we started the residential division.
Awesome. During that process, what made you decide to search for a business management system to help you launch the residential division?
Yeah, that's a great question. I have been in roofing for about 11 years, so I used AccuLynx at the first roofing company that I ever worked for about 11 years ago, right after it came out. I worked there for a couple of years, and then went to another roofing company where the business model was where you are the salesperson, project manager, estimator, invoicer, supplementer, and everything. And they did not have a CRM at that point, so it was sort of hard juggling the jobs. And I saw that if you're not organized, there's only so much work that you can do. So whenever I came over to KPost to start the residential division, I immediately knew that I wanted to invest in a CRM to be able to make sure that nothing slipped through the cracks and that we made the most out of our business.
Awesome. So getting to the next question. What made you choose AccuLynx as that technology solution for you?
Yeah, so whenever I was starting the residential division, I looked at 3 or 4 different CRMs. Of course, all of them were popular in the roofing industry. I'd already been familiar with AccuLynx, but I was encouraged to also look at others. So I looked at them, did some demos, and at the end of the day, I liked the way that AccuLynx was set up with the different lead prospects approved and completed and invoiced. I thought it would fit our system the best. And another big thing that I noticed is I wanted to have a separate production side from a separate sales side. So one thing that I noticed when I was just managing the job and everything myself is that there was a lack of consistency in the product to the consumer. So I and another salesperson at a different roofing company or at that roofing company would have 2 totally different products, 2 totally different crews. The jobs would go different. So whenever I came over to KPost, they built their business on having a brand of being the best roofer in DFW, commercial, hands down. So they were very skeptical of somebody coming in on the residential side who's very lax on those types of safety and things like that and ruining their reputation. So that's one reason that we decided to have AccuLynx and have a system is that I wanted to separate production from sales so that the production team was the same team on every job so that there was a consistent product that we could control. And AccuLynx let me set that up so that we could have the communication and the various different things so that I could separate those jobs and have a great job site and have my salespeople not bogged down with building the jobs, but moving on to the next one to keep the next customer dry.
Awesome. Yeah, standardization is a huge part of how we help contractors every day. So thank you for mentioning that. So now that you've been using AccuLynx for a few years, tell us about how you're using it now to run your residential division.
Where to start? So AccuLynx, the one thing I'll say about AccuLynx is that we have different softwares that we use in roofing, and AccuLynx has always sort of updated, always been on top of their updates. So we've used AccuLynx more and more as they continue to add features like texting and the crew app. And as they develop that, it just helps us systemize our business. So with, I guess, we use it for everything. We use it for tracking the lead sources when they come in and checking the job flow, and then using our production, using the templates from start to finish. I know a lot of contractors, some use AccuLynx, but they don't use all the different features that they have, and they're selling themselves short because AccuLynx has really created a process from start to finish without any gaps in it, so that you can satisfy your customers' needs and keep track of everything. So, I mean, we use it for reporting, we use it for tracking job costs and scheduling jobs and invoicing customers and sending contracts online. I mean, I could ramble on forever. So
no, that's awesome.
It's definitely a good tool because it allows all the members in the organization to see how the jobs are being handled and the communication, so that you can make sure that your salespeople are touching jobs and that they're getting built and invoiced quickly.
Yeah. As the general manager, are there any specific features that you look at every day?
Yes. So AccuLynx has features where one of the things is the smart docs. So any contract or change order or any type of electronic form that we send to homeowners, that's right on the top of the dashboard, so that myself and the sales manager and the team leads, they can look at that and stay on top of their salespeople's, the current opportunities, that there's a contract in front of somebody to sign. So we look at that. We have the scheduled reports. So like every Monday, the salespeople get a scheduled email that's automatic of their leads and prospects and their accounts receivable. And we use the filters and the different columns for things like making sure that you can see when the job was last touched, and you can take those checks and balances and make sure from a top-down view that things are moving, that jobs aren't stalling, and that jobs are being touched, and that people are executing.
So you mentioned that you send your sales teams their leads every week. How are your sales teams using AccuLynx on a day-to-day basis?
We have them go in and touch their jobs. We have the leads and prospects. One thing is that we check to see how many leads they put in every week. So we're getting a emphasis on how many roofs they're inspecting every week. They use it to tag production. They use it to upload their job photos when they go and they look at a job. They use it to send an agreement to a homeowner, to have a homeowner sign an agreement at the table with them on the iPad through the AccuLynx app. Send photos, communicate with their customers. Like, one of the great things about AccuLynx is that all of the email and the text features inside of it, where as a manager, I can go into the job file and I can see the communication that my project management team or my sales team has had with the homeowner, so that I can have, checks and balances and make sure that, we're putting our best foot forward and people are answering emails and we're doing a good job. We do things that, since we have a separate production team than sales team, whenever they go out to the job, they do a pre-install checklist and make sure the materials and the labor and the crew has exact instructions of what they need. So they upload those photos, they put them into the system, they tag the sales rep and the operations team, and then I also see that, so that I can put set of eyes on every roof that we start and that we finish. So it's nice to have all those photos. I mean, obviously, taking photos of pre-existing conditions when dealing with homeowners is something that's very important too. So we take a whole lot of photos. I would say on every job, we probably, on a residential job with just roof and gutters, we probably put 400 photos in there, so that we have before, after, in progress photos. The crew app, that allows the crew to be able to upload photos of decking repairs and different things, so that they can justify why they needed another 2 pieces of decking, and then we can take that information and I give that to my estimator so that he can go back to the insurance company immediately and say, hey, we found this and this at the job site when we were doing the roof. So that's something that should be covered. Or not something that should be covered, but that should be something that should be added to the claim. So it allows for people to put out messages and photos so that it goes to all the different departments. So there's not any wasted time.
Yeah, we know how important photos are, and we've actually done a lot of updates to our photo capabilities in the last few months. So it's great to hear that you're taking advantage of it.
The latest, where you can just take your photos and real quickly drop them into a PDF and email it at a small file size, has been a game changer for us, because one thing that we've noticed is pulling permits in the COVID environment has been very, very difficult, because every city is handling it different. You have one that'll go out to one job site and one that'll want us to FaceTime, one that'll just want photos. So that really allows my project management team and the office staff to be able to easily take that information and send it to the city official to get the inspection passed. That's one of our biggest heartburn right now, is dealing with the different cities with getting the permits closed out.
Sure. Well, I'm so glad to hear that photos are helping you guys do that.
And of course, you can also track permits through AccuLynx, which we do. But that doesn't really help the city come out and approve it anymore, but it makes sure that we're staying on top of exactly what's going on with our permits, because if you don't close out a permit from 3 years ago, the city can make it where you cannot pull another permit. And if you sold a job in that city and you can't pull a permit on it, that's going to be an odd conversation with the homeowner. So those are things that AccuLynx lets us stay on top of that. And the salesperson or the project manager out in the field can get on AccuLynx and show the homeowner, hey, I see right here that the inspection passed.
Right.
And it has a log of all that. Yep.
Awesome. So one of the other things that you mentioned was that you use the reporting suite. How are you using reporting to stay up to date?
Yeah, well, like I said, every Monday we have the leads and prospects and AR go out to the sales team. If they have anything that they don't think that they can collect on the AR, then that's something that they're instructed to put a message in and tag, myself or the sales manager and say, hey, I need help. We don't want to find out that the homeowner's not calling you back 2 months after the fact. We need to know that immediately. And we, so the reporting makes sure that we stay on top of our collections. We look at it, we run reports to make sure that we don't start jobs without a deposit. We use it for our production sheet. So there's a way in the AccuLynx reports that you can modify anything that you want. So you turn on different columns and different filters. So if you have a problem with salespeople not uploading photos to the job site, what you can do is you can turn that column on where that report will say there's 50 photos in each job, or there's 50 photos in here, there's no in this one. So then the salesperson can look at the report and go, oops, I forgot to upload the email address or the photos. Because if you're going to do an email campaign, if you don't have an email address for the customer, then you don't have an email to send to. So those are things that we make sure that they do the small things so that we can manage that data and use that for marketing purposes. They use it, we use it for tracking cash flow and where we're at on the jobs, especially the different trades, supplements. That's one thing that has been difficult too with insurance companies. With insurance companies, some of them have like a hold time of an hour on the phone to talk to somebody. Those are things that if a homeowner is frustrated about why their insurance company isn't doing something, then we can literally give them a report and say, here's all our communication to your insurance company. We're not getting anything back. But those reports really let us stay on top of our business, because generally as roofing contractors, we like to sort of just go out and do the work because we're more hands-on type people. But you have to make sure that you use the reports, because at the end of the day, you can sell and build as many roofs as you want, but if you're not invoicing the job and collecting it in full, that's the only thing that matters. So staying on all those reports lets us be able to make sure that things don't slip through the cracks. We can track our lead sources. There was one time we did a billboard, but I didn't have anything set up to track the incoming leads from it. So we don't know if we got a single lead from it or not. So that happened one time, and we learned our lesson, where now we can run reports and say, hey, salesperson A, you typically get 60% of your business from next door referrals, you get 30% of your business from canvassing, and you get 10% of your business from insurance agents. What can we do to get you in front of more insurance agents? Because that's an aspect of generating leads that is sort of falling behind. And it's nice to be able to put information in front of people's faces so that it backs up what you're trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Having that data in front of you really helps you attack different areas that you feel like you may be lacking in, and pursue others that you know are profitable. So,
yeah. So using AccuLynx and being able to use the filters correctly in the reporting tools, it allows you to be able to prevent things like assigning 20 leads to a certain sales rep who closes one of them, and you don't find out about it for 2 months after the fact. It allows you to instantly be able to catch those things so that you can correct it.
Yes, absolutely. So just to kind of round out your fantastic interview here, what would you say has been the overall impact that you've seen for the residential side of your business since you've implemented AccuLynx?
I think it's AccuLynx covers like sort of our entire business, so it's sort of everything to us. At the end of the day, some people are very, very good at what they do, but to grow the business, you have to create a system and policies and procedures for others to be able to do what you do. And starting the residential division, I underestimated how hard that was going to be. But if you create a system where people know that, like with the job site, for example, we have something that we damage a pool. What we do is we go and we look at the crew's checklist and we just modify the checklist and say, make sure to cover pool, or take pictures of vent pipes in the attic for the hot water heater and the AC unit. So when something changes, since we have a system developed, we look at the system and we figure out where the gap is and we can instantly fill it. And AccuLynx just allows you to be able to constantly have a pulse on what's going on with the business, making sure that things are being done correctly, the CYA aspect with the photos, the estimating tools. That's one thing that was a breakthrough for us, is that back when I originally started this, Matt was the person who would order the jobs, estimate the jobs. Well, we can only grow so much if I'm the only one that can do it. So using AccuLynx's templates and working with EagleView that's integrated into that, it makes it where a few clicks will really get you the bones of what you need to do on that job. And then we use that estimate to be able to track what our expected job profit was before the job and then what it was after the job.
Yeah, so you have a lot of visibility from start to finish, which is...
Yeah, it's the simplest things, like using the smart docs for change orders. You know, a customer wants to change from a black shingle to a gray shingle. Instead of the salesperson having to drive over there and spend 3 hours over there, they can easily just do a change order through the system and send it to them. They execute it, and then everybody can easily see that in AccuLynx. So if they didn't have that, he could go over there and get the change order signed and then never turns it into the office. So we put on the wrong color roof and then we have to replace the roof. That definitely has not happened because we have procedures in place, but it's those different checks and balances is really what allows you to just stay on top of things so that the jobs are moving as quickly as possible. Because the last thing we want is for jobs to stall and to never invoice them. Yeah, it's been great for us, and I would say that definitely the biggest thing is AccuLynx constantly creating new tools. And I would go see him at a trade show, and I would say, hey, I think having something where the crew could upload the photos is a good idea, and they're like, we're already on top of that. It's going to be out in a week. And of course, as a contractor, we laugh and we're like, yeah, sure, it's going to be out in a week. And then next thing you know, surely it's out. The automations and things that you can do when people create a lead or sending an invoice and inputting the information and creating systematic follow-up for asking for referrals and reviews, which tie to SEO and all of that. I mean, you just have to create a process through AccuLynx and then stick to it. And then adapt as you need to going forward. But it's been everything for us, because at the end of the day, it's the only way for us to be able to keep all of the moving parts in their right areas so that we can do the job quickly and professionally and get paid for it.
Well, thank you too for a shout out to our product team. They work very hard and they're constantly getting feedback from our customers. We want to keep improving the product and we do listen. So I'm glad you agree with that. So
yeah,
I'll let them know.
It's all of the new features. As they come out, they're slowly explored and then they're fine tuned. Like with the automations, it was my first. Whenever you first came out with the automations, there was like a little bit of limited things on it where you couldn't really specify each different job.
Mm-hmm.
And then within a week, there was a fix to that where it was instantly ironed out. So it's nice because as someone who has invested in other software that is supposed to do something, and then when you actually start using it, it doesn't work the way it's supposed to be. You're like, well, you never told me that the tool doesn't work. All the stuff in AccuLynx works, and since it really streamlines, especially a roofing company, to be able to have a CRM that they can count on.